Welcome to Just Minding My Business. I hope you are having an amazing day. And I am so excited to bring to you Neil Twa, who is the CEO, co founder of Voltage Holdings, a company specializing in launching, consulting, selling, and acquiring brands with a focus on the e commerce channels such as Amazon FBA
Mhm.
and multi channel. More than 15 years of experience as a selling private label products on Amazon and his company. Neil is here today to talk about his new book, co authored with Reed Lawson, Almost Automated Income with FBA, Build a Profitable Lifestyle Driven Amazon Business, Exit for Millions, even without any e commerce experience. Wow. Welcome, Neil. That was a mouthful.
Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
I'm so happy that you're here.
My
As
pleasure.
we were just talking prior to going on air, I get the notification sell on Amazon and
Yeah.
all the time.
Yeah.
And, I look at it and I think to myself, how do I do that?
hmm Well, I mean, in simple terms, well, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it. If you are considering building a business, I have personally found that in now 18 years of experience, e-commerce has been one of the best places to take an aspiring entrepreneur, teach them how to sell a product, even if they have no idea what it is yet, or what they will sell, or even who they'll sell it to, and then teach them a process by which they can do it and become successful with it. I've launched over 1,000 businesses that way in the last 10 years. I have 21 brands of my own that we run inside of Voltage. And I've taught a lot of business owners how to become CEO operators and come to that real understanding that with the right processes and technology and people, you can learn how to sell physical products on Amazon, specifically in brands. You're familiar with private label brands?
Mhm.
Okay, so if you've bought a product, if you've appreciated a certain kind of shoe brand or a shirt or a purse brand or whatnot, we have discovered in our process that instead of flipping products and arbitraging and wholesaling and this kind of stuff, which does give you short-term profits, short-term gain, it is a little bit more of a side hustle or hobby style business. And with our background in business building, while we started that way, 12 years ago, we quickly moved into brand building because we're creating something that has a longer term intrinsic value. It becomes a saleable asset. And within 4 or 5 years, that can become a pretty considerable saleable asset.
Mhm. Wow. Wow. So, a lot of people think or may think that you need some kind of formal training. Of course, you need some type of support, but how do you make a successful
Yeah.
online business with no college or formal?
Right? Because that was my story. um, University of Hard Knocks. So, what I encourage people who may be listening to this is there's a way to gain leverage and knowledge from someone who's already given that experience and already gone through those problems. I've faced a business bankruptcy, so I know where that works. I've had highs in my business and made lots of money, so I understand how that works and kind of understand the middle of the road scenario because I was an employee until 2007 and left my corporate gig at IBM to become an entrepreneur. And then it took me about 4 or 5 years to discover that I didn't quite know exactly what I was doing yet. And had to kind of fumble my way through that process until I found a mentor who really taught me the components and fundamentals of business that I was kind of missing. See, I was in that corporate environment and they shielded me from so many things I didn't understand, right? But once you're on your own, you're the dishwasher, you clean up, you're the last man standing, you pay for the taxes, you do all of it, right? And
Yes.
that can be a little concerning for people who have never had any of that experience. And so, what I help people do is bridge that gap when taking my experience and training and helping them go faster and easier than going it alone by simply teaching them all the things they should do and all the things they should avoid. So, you can go out to places like YouTube and stuff is a great educational tool, and I encourage everyone to go learn how to sell physical products in commerce and figure out what they need to do. But in the end, there's always a gap in knowledge that replicates your time faster, reduces the time frame and the risk when you work with other people to support you. And I have hired mentors and paid 10, 20, 50,000 a year in mentorships in order to get closer to people who help me level up my business. through mentorship and relationship, through understanding the right technologies to use, how to apply those technologies to my business, how to maximize profits, how to deploy AI correctly into my business, how to properly know who to trust with my finances from accounting and that kind of stuff. And that has been years of relationship driven business and trial and error that have given me an opportunity to replicate a process with less risk in a shorter period of time than most people can do it going alone. Do I encourage everybody to try? Absolutely. Right? Because without try, we can't fail. And without fail, we can't go forward. And without understanding how to go forward, we can't actually see ourselves in the process of being successful. You could sit on the couch and wish to be successful, but if you never get off the couch, you're never going to have that opportunity.
So, so true. So true. You said a mouthful because I come from corporate America as well.
Yep.
And, when I left and started my business, like you said, you shielded from so much stuff that you need to
Yeah, you
know.
don't always understand the intricacies of what it means to cash versus accrual in your accounting. Well, which one do I choose? What the heck do they even mean, right? If
Yes.
I'm going to sell a product, well, what the heck do I even sell to make this work, right? Who do I sell it to? Another big question, right? And of course, if I do that, how do I make money in that process? How do I get my numbers correct? And these are all big questions that everybody has, frankly. And with training, you can understand that process. And in any business, right, there is a profit and loss statement. There is an offer, a service, a product that is provided. You just kind of have to figure out which one's most exciting to you. I got into digital marketing for a while and found out it was real exciting to do what's called affiliate marketing. Are you familiar with that? Affiliate marketing?
Yes.
Yeah, got really good at it. Actually, found out I was really good at the aptitude. The problem was it's like quicksand. It's constantly shifting. When you are affiliating somebody else's product and they decide to not offer that anymore, or they change the relationship of the affiliate, I'm, subservient to whatever they're wanting to do with their products. And that got kind of frustrating. And I couldn't control the outcome. So as I got into the physical product side with the manufacturing and being able to control the brand, I got to control the entire business. So I kind of graduated from an entrepreneur into a business owner.
Okay. And I think that's kind of what we all do as we move through the business world.
You certainly can, yeah.
So, how do you know if a business is even going to be profitable over
Mm,
the long run?
yeah, that's a great question. We call it going by the numbers. And in the fundamentals of business, when you get down to it, you can't run your business on gut feel at the end of the day. So there's no guessing, right? When it gets down to products and the portfolio of products, all right, a number of products that we create inside of a brand, each product individually has to have profitability, not gross profit or gross margin, but actually net profit. A lot of people confuse those things and they say, well, I'll have 80% gross margin. This is going to be profitable. But in actuality, it's not. They have to understand the cost of goods and everything that goes into creating one unit of that product in order to sell it into the market. So if we understand that, then we set a certain principle of business and a business best practice that says, well, for us, we don't want to sell a product that doesn't make more than $12 in net profit per unit. That's what we keep. That's all that really matters at the end of the day, right?
Mhm.
So after my cost of goods and all the, material cost, logistics and freight and manufacturing and warehousing and anything that applies that one unit of product getting sold to a customer, what falls out the bottom of all of that, the net, is what I keep, and I want to make sure it's more than $12. So if it's 24 and 36 and 48, of course, I just make more money on each product that is sold. Therefore, I can now reinvest in marketing. I can pay myself. I can pay other people to replicate my activities, and I can make my business not only a going concern, but a profitable going concern. Okay. So you just have to establish what are the numbers that work for you. And in business, for us, we discovered that anything less than $12 net profit per unit isn't worth selling because once you get to the platform fees, like Amazon has fees, and once you get into the market and discover where you can sell the product, which is your retail price point, you have to ensure that those numbers work. If they work for every product in your brand, then your brand becomes profitable. If
Mhm.
your brand is profitable, then your business is profitable. So it really starts at the grassroots. And here's the thing about selling on a platform like Amazon or even TikTok or Shopify or your own website. If the product you choose is not only not profitable, but not the right product, the rest of this stuff doesn't work. And that's where a lot of people get kind of concerned. So we built a process to kind of solve that problem.
So of course, there's always looking at the costs go up. Amazon
Always.
fees goes
Mhm.
up,
Things go up in
cost
time.
of
Inflation. Yeah.
yeah, creating that product goes up. And in today's world, we already see how
That can
quickly
absolutely happen.
change.
Yeah. But here's a fascinating thing. You might even see this in your area and line of work as well. And maybe somebody who's listening to this. The demand for products on Amazon, for example, just as one platform type, has not changed in the last 6 months. It is still over 5 billion impressions a month on that channel, over 200 million Prime users. What's changed is people's ability to get certain products because the platform itself, by Amazon's own admission, 72% of people selling on Amazon are third-party sellers like us. So the majority of those products you see on Amazon are being sold through, mechanisms like mine. And with that, you realize the small businesses that are on there, of course, have been impacted by certain things that have occurred in the last 6 months, which means that a number of sellers are no longer in that platform. For those who are running their businesses more effectively with greater profits, we're actually seeing a 30% boost in traffic and sales. So the reciprocal thing is occurring. Those of us that are in the market are actually gaining more market share, which is really fun to watch. And this time, having gone through the COVID in 2020, is much different. It's much different because the price and cost of products is considerably different. As we were on the ground dealing with that growth during that 2020 period, a lot of people were focused, of course, on health and wellness and family and the concern that was happening there, right?
Right.
Naturally. But us running the business during that time frame, that was our primary focus. And what most people don't understand is that in that first quarter of 2020, we saw 10 years of growth in 3 months. We saw hyper growth, right? But we also saw the cost of those products and the containers of those products go up very, very dramatically, like 5 to 6 times per container what we normally charge
Mhm.
to or get charged. That isn't even close to what we're dealing with right now. So product is moving, product's completely available. Product is only about 2 times more than it was about 4, 5, 6 months ago. That is nothing compared to what we saw in 2020 to 2023, just to give you some context. Okay.
Okay.
What people are seeing, though, because they're not focused on their health and wellness and other stuff, because that's not a thing right now, right? Not to the degree it was, as we all
Right.
know. They're more focused on, well, tariffs. They're more focused on all these other things they think are more negative. And in actuality, all it is for those of us on the ground, those of us in the business, it's opportunity. It's
Mhm.
probably some of the greatest opportunity I've seen in many years of doing this business.
Yes, yes. And yeah, and you're right. These things look negative, but how do you make it a positive for you?
Understanding opportunity is always a factor in
Yeah.
every change. Now, with my business, my products, and my brand, one of the benefits I get, and for those listening, you should understand this, I get to move with the market, right? Because I control the effect of my brand. If prices needs to raise a little bit, they raise a little bit. If they need to come down a little bit, they come down a little bit. It's a what's called elasticity of supply and demand, right? It's economics.
Mhm.
And so as the market moves, you move with the market, and that's the beauty of it, right? And physical products, like second oldest profession in the world is selling products. I'm not into the first one myself, which is more prominent now, I think, in other online platforms. I'm into the product side, not that product side. And there's always a demand for those products. There always is, right? I mean, you still need products. You still have a life. You still have to cook. You still shop. You still do things. That need doesn't go away, right?
Yeah, right.
And even if the price changes, that need still has to be there. So we look for products and opportunities that create that. And then we literally follow what we call our green light process to determine which ones are profitable, which ones are in demand, which ones Amazon's literally telling me from the data that this customer need and this intent are in demand. So simply provide a product to that market. When the
Mhm.
data tells me it's green light, I test that product out in the market to see what the market will bear.
So pretty much give the people what they want.
Give the people what they want. See, if I come in and I say, well, I have to sell this product, or what about this, or I need to do that, you are attempting to tell the market what it wants. I'm not even smart enough to do that. Only like less than 1% of the world, like Elon Musk or whatever, could create something and tell the rest of the world, this is what you want. And everybody's like, yay, we want that. 99% of us are like, well, we're following what the rest of the world sort of is doing. What we're doing is innovating. We're not inventing, right? Big difference. We're
Right.
innovating. We're not inventing. So with innovation and meeting the market demand or what's called that customer need for a product, okay, which could just be like a sandbox for kids, I want to create the best sandbox for kids in the market, and I want to get my brand and my product in front of that market and say, hey, what about mine? Here's an option. What about this one? It's got a slightly different feature. It's got a different base. It comes with some different accessories, right? This is my product. What do you think of it? It's really not more complicated than that at the end of the day because I know the market wants those. I can see that the data is selling, 15,000 units a year. I know there's a demand. I just have to put a product in there and find out, can I capture some of it?
Yes, yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And it sounds so simple the way you explain it, but a lot of people think about it abstractly. And
Well, yeah, that's a great way of putting it. And you know why I think that happens, Ida? You end up with the idea, maybe from conditioning, maybe because of the way we see consumerism, maybe because, movies pushed it on us a little bit or television or whatever media. And we
Mhm.
think it's all about the product first. And so we must engineer this product. We must invent this thing that no one's ever heard of. And if we don't do that, we can't make any money. Does that sound right?
Yeah, pretty
Yeah.
much.
It's the old, if you build it, they will come. Remember that movie? Uh, the Field of Dreams movie, right? I think a lot of us
Yeah.
got caught up in the idea that if we build it, they will come. And if we don't build this really unique, inventive idea, this Shark Tank idea, no one's going to want to buy our product. But in actuality, innovation is happening continuously, all the time, and evolving. That gives you millions of product opportunities that are out there continuously up for grabs. And if you are able to get into that, you launch that product. What we do is we have it manufactured for us. We're not selling somebody else's product, right? We're selling a product we create and manufacture, so it's our product. With
Mhm.
that, I can innovate the differences. I can approach the market and say, hey, I got a slightly different product variation than you got. To some people, that may look like an invention, but
Yes.
to the market, it's just another variation. It's an innovation. And with that, I'm meeting literally a demand that is 24/7, 365. It already exists on the channel, all right, with 100 plus, 200 million Prime users who are buying literally 7,000 units a minute, okay, on Amazon. 7,000 units a minute are transversing through. The thing is a miracle it even works. It's so large. From the trucks, the ships, the planes, stuff being delivered, it's just a giant ecosystem. And we can leverage that ecosystem to deliver our products to the customers. And I don't even have to do that. That's part of my automation. Is I give that product to Amazon and its warehouses, and it takes it to the customer and delivers it and handles returns and other things. So I don't have to do that. That's a big win, right? That means I can do that on 50 acres in the country with my family when we homeschool, and I don't have to be at a warehouse or shipping those products out of my garage every day. That's
Yeah,
a pretty big way to reach a really large market really fast, right?
absolutely. Absolutely. And you made me think about it. I had to buy a lawnmower, which is one of those products that
You need it.
all need.
Yep.
And the one thing that made me buy the lawnmower that I bought was I could fold it up. And
There's a feature of folding, and somebody innovated a foldable top to that, and that
yeah,
fits your need, and you chose whichever product based
yeah.
on price point and need that made the most sense to you. And you didn't actually see the product or touch it, did you?
No, I mean, I was in the store. Now I'm an Amazon shopper hard.
Okay, but
I
you were
was
doing a
like,
little browsing in the front of somebody else's store,
yeah, I was in the store and the guy was explaining the different models. And
right?
the minute he said, well, this one can fold so it fits better in the shed. And I
Yeah,
was like, that's the one for me.
there you go. And you went on to Amazon and bought it.
Actually, I didn't. I bought it from Lowe's,
You didn't? Okay,
but I do buy a lot of things from Amazon.
sure.
I see stuff on TikTok that I like,
Right.
and then I'll go to Amazon.
And then you go to Amazon and buy it. There's a lot of that's happening. That's part of what we call the holistic e-commerce system. So if I have an Amazon sales channel, which is just one sales channel, but I end up on my own website or I end up on TikTok, then every time someone, touches some component of that, they're able to buy from me. And if they don't like TikTok, they can buy on Amazon. And if they find my website and don't want TikTok, then they can buy on my website. So really, I just want to get in front of as many people as possible across as many channels as possible for aspiring entrepreneurs who need to learn some of the fundamentals of business, who need to learn how to correctly market the products, because what we tell everybody is we sell AI listings to an AI engine, and that engine delivers products to people because that's its job. So if I can get it to understand my product the best, it will find the best amount of people to give my product to, which helps me out a lot, right? So I don't actually focus on the product as much as I focus on that component. That's the sales engine that makes everything go. Do I create a bad, me too, crappy product? No. No, I have to create a good product. That's very important. I have to create a great product, actually. But it's actually the second biggest thing. And that's what a lot of people get caught up on in this is they think I have to engineer this super duper amazing product and it's really difficult and complex when in actuality, you can sell an established product that you innovate two or three times, just small changes. It becomes a unique product, but it's really most important at the end of the day that you learn how to sell that product, right? In your example, if you had bought that lawnmower from Amazon, you would have waited for a day or two for it to show up, right? Or
Right.
maybe in a city, you could have gone to a box, or maybe you have 1 hour delivery now, right? That's possible.
Right.
But the end result is you would have not bought that product. You would have bought it literally sight unseen, is what I'm trying to say. And
Right.
the product would have showed up. So the intent of the images graphic copy itself is the most important thing I teach people in their business is to literally sales fixes everything and to understand that concept because then when they do that really well, the products become a brand. And that
Hmm.
brand becomes something that lives on for a lot longer than the products. Products just serve a particular role, right? And they can serve a role for a certain amount of time and then that changes. But a brand can live on for a very long time.
Yes, absolutely. Wow, Neil. So if people want to connect with you, how do they do so?
Well, if you're looking for a way to create generational time and wealth freedom in, say, the next 3 to 5 years, if you want to create a business that has an exit potential and you want to talk to somebody who's actually acquiring companies and helping people build them up, then this is what I'm wanting you to take a look at. Okay. You go to voltagedm.com. That's voltagedm.com, digitalmarketing.com. Or just Google my last name or Google me or this podcast. You'll find us one way or another. And watch the presentation that talks exactly about what we call our as seen on TV strategy. Myself and my mentor, who also wrote the foreword to my book, which is the original shark from Shark Tank, Kevin Harrington. He's the inventor of the as seen on TV brand and has done a lot of business. Wrote the forward for that, and we actually did a little presentation that explains exactly how our business model works, the capital and time and energy and investment required to really make a serious go at this, and to give you the framework and playbook by which you can use my people and processes and technology to build a roadmap for the next 3 to 5 years that builds a business that becomes a saleable asset that's worth more in the end than at any time during the business building phase. And so we teach you guys how to learn how to do that. There's workshops and other information there for you to check out.
Wow, that's awesome. Yes, indeed. So the book,
hmm
tell us what people will be taking away from your book.
Well, if you are a reader, if you want to understand strategy for e-commerce, this is your book. It's not a tactical book. There's a lot of tactics out there. I know that a lot of people have their tactics YouTube videos and guides and how-to books. But really, when it gets down to it, the fundamental component of understanding the business, who to sell to, and how to make it profitable is what a lot of people miss. And so that's how we developed the book. The book, as a strategy guide, was actually based off of 15 of my chosen podcasts. Then we turned the 15 of those into 15 chapters. Each chapter has an expert in different areas of finance and product research and marketing, logistics and supply chain and reviews, and pretty much everything you need to know about this business model. And I interviewed them, and that became part of the chapters. And so there's experts with resources and case studies and access to that information within the book to help you frame an understanding of what it takes to build a real business that can create that generational time and wealth freedom when you do it right.
Hmm. Wow. So I know some people out there are probably listening to this and scratching their head
Yeah,
because they want to start this. They don't know how. They have limited experience.
yeah,
So without spending a half a million and 3 to 5 years doing it, how can they get started?
yeah. Well, the first thing we teach them how to do is figure out what the heck to sell. And with our software and tools, there's really 3 clicks now. That's all it takes to go in to determine a product location based on an idea or what we call a customer need that's already being driven by Amazon, where they need to place it in Amazon, and then which specific product they actually need to select based on the data. Based on the demand and the data, the products literally appear. From there, we teach them how to build that through our roadmap. We coach them one-on-one every week, as many times as they need. We have weekly calls every week to help support them. We have a very strong support network to follow that process to success, and we do it over a 12-month invite. It is an invite-only application process. This is not a course or a program, if you're somebody who is a hard charging, entrepreneur, a high income earner, somebody who might be looking at franchises or business building or business buying, if you're into real estate and maybe even wealth without Wall Street strategies and stuff, and you're looking at how something like this could fit into your potential business future, or maybe a bridge to get you from my job of which was a W-2 hell island to my heaven island, which is kind of where I'm hanging out now with my family. I teach people how to get through that and become really great CEO operators and to get started through the process of building an actual business, one that will sustain them through years 4 and 5, because most people don't recognize that businesses don't fail in the first year. They fail in years 4 through 5. It's about a 92% failure rate. And it is because they don't learn what the 8% understand, and that is the time, energy, attention, and money required to dedicate to a business that can become life-changing. If they can grasp that concept and understand the idea of e-commerce and business and get past the idea that really a side hustle or a hobby business is the way to do this, if they really think of it as a real business, real changing, real opportunity, those are the kind of folks I speak to. Those are the kind of ones I would invite into my group. It's a very small group. We've had less than 300 people since 2019. I'm only really looking for, the needles in the haystack, if you will,
Mhm.
because it again is not a course or a program or a course. I'm teaching real mentorship, business, and CEO level experience to give them that real opportunity to change their lives.
Okay. And how can people get the book?
You could go to voltagedm.com. I believe we have a free copy, if I'm not mistaken. That will be in the notes along with a code for 10 people who
Oh,
want to grab a free copy of that. We'll put it in the notes. I believe Lennon sent that over. So you guys are listening to this right now. Check out the notes and description. I'm sure it will be in there. There's 10 free copies you guys can get from our website. Or you could, if you like Amazon, you want a book, you can go to Amazon too and search for Almost Automated Income with FBA. If you do that, Almost Automated Income with FBA, you'll find that book and you can just order it off Amazon.
yes. So my next question, people don't necessarily have to have their own product.
That's correct. I'm going to show you exactly what the demand is. If you're willing to accept, again, you mentioned it earlier, the idea that there is something already moving, something already sellable. I don't need to bring an idea or a construct or a hard charging, like I have to do this or else kind of idea. What I need you to come over and see is what's actually selling. What's the opportunity? What's in demand? What can I sell that starts generating great money and income for my business? You don't need to have a product idea. We'll show you exactly what to sell.
Okay. So the people that we see on Amazon when we log on to go shopping,
Uh-huh.
are you pretty much supporting a lot of those folks that we kind of see selling?
You probably see quite a few. Yeah, we've sent over 300 people in since 2019. I've done over 1,000 businesses in 12 years that I've supported. I'm currently, as mentioned, I have 12 brands, 12 businesses that I support in product development and ownership right now inside of Voltage that are mine. And then I have about 43 or so active clients that we're supporting in our business builders group right now who are building up their own companies, becoming their own CEO operators, and we're mentoring them right now. And then we're also in acquisition mode. So I am actually out under an acquisition strategy with my team from Patriot Growth Capital. Patriot
Mhm.
Growth Capital is a veteran-backed, veteran-funded, veteran-operated and owned business that helped 16,000 veterans last year. We have started a fund to acquire companies with Voltage as the operating partner so that we can bring veterans into that business. We can employ them into the business, train them up, help them have purpose and opportunity from the veteran community. And then within 4 to 5 years, as long as they've reached their 10,000 hours of certified progress in their business, they have an opportunity to acquire that business from us. So we really believe in giving people an opportunity to be a part of that. So as we acquire these companies, we're employing them into those companies.
Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing. I am so happy to meet you, Neil. You have
Very kind of
definitely
you.
taken a lot of questions of how to build a profitable business in the Amazon space. I absolutely love Amazon. When I need to get something, it's Amazon. I
There's a lot of people that feel that way. And it is a tool. Let's call it what it is. Some people don't
Yes,
prefer that tool. They'd say, well, I want to own my own tool. I want to use TikTok or I want to buy my own, build my own website. And I'd say every tool really is an opportunity to build the house. You
yeah,
just might argue over the hammer versus the stick or which hammer you're going to use. But at the end of the day, the purpose is to build the house no matter what. And
Yes.
in the building of an e-commerce company, these are just sales channels, right? They all have their pros and cons. Most people need to understand that when you become a business owner, your job is to solve problems, right? In your
Mhm.
business, or if a service or consulting or something is for someone else, you solve problems in their business. And the better you're at doing that, the more you persevere at that process, the more successful you will become. So business building is literally just nothing but a series of solving problems. Amazon and all these other companies have some problems, they have their challenges and have their issues. But I think it's most important to understand that in any of those channels or this business, if you don't start with the fundamentals of the business first, if you don't actually get trained on how to build that company correctly, how to finance it correctly and fund it correctly and manage it correctly. It doesn't really matter what you sell. The market may never find out what you sell if you don't figure that out first.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So again, how can my audience connect with you?
Sure. Go to voltagedm.com, check out the presentation, check out the free book links for those first 10 people here, or head over to Amazon and grab the book there. Or if you just type Voltage or Neil Twa into any search bar, you'll find any of my social media accounts, Instagram or otherwise, and you're welcome to connect with me there.
Absolutely. So thank you so much, Neil. I appreciate this. You explained everything so simplistic, so I really appreciate you, and I know our audience does it
Well,
as
thank you
well.
for having me on. It's been an honor. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.